If ever we as a church, this community, needed to be reminded that there's a time for everything, it's this week. It really is. Just the whole celebratory thing that we've been into, and many of us feel as though we've been talking and planning this for months and months, and we have. But somehow we need to hear, I think all of us, that God's not finished with us yet. We need to hear tonight that we're not at the end of anything, but rather we need to be reminded that this is a special time for us, a time to dance, a time to celebrate, a time to give thanks, a time just to remind ourselves where we've come from. Yes, we have come to the end of an era, whatever that may mean. And we're about to embark on the next part of our journey together. And that's the exciting bit for me. For the past few weeks, and it really has been a couple of months, I guess, I've been trying to pin down what God has been saying to me as we have been moving towards this week. And it's a scary sort of place to be, because you know that God has got something to put in your heart and you're not sure what it is. And so you start pushing things around in your mind and pushing things around on your desk and pushing books around and trying to get a hand on what he's trying to say. Because in my mind, God is telling us that we're about to move into some new challenges and new dreams and new visions. And I don't know about you, but for me, this is just so exciting. It's such a fantastically exciting period for me. I was saying to Tony and Erica tonight, it's 19 years that Yvonne and I have been here as your ministerial couple, as your pastors, if you like. And not many of us have the privilege of planting new churches. Most ministers end up taking over from someone. And not very many of us have the incredible privilege of taking a church from ground roots. And yet we've had this. And some of my colleagues say to me, how on earth do you do this? And I just say to them, if I had my time over again, I'd do it all over again. Because it's just something that is so fantastically exciting. Just knowing that we're breaking new ground, and in a sense we're traveling where other people haven't traveled before, and it's just amazing, and especially good that you don't have to follow in somebody else's footsteps, and you don't have people saying to you, well, we don't do it like that, we used to do it like this. Never had anybody ever say that to me here, and that's a great joy and a great pleasure. And there are not too many of us that can have that privilege. And so it's just fantastically exciting for us. I believe that we as a church have begun to make our mark in this community. Somebody said to me last week, they asked me to do a funeral for them, and reminded me that I've been in town a long time and I didn't need to be reminded about that. And just said, something about what a difference this church has made in this town. My heart just swelled up with that, And I don't know if people say that to you, but if they say it to you, jump for joy, folks. Jump for joy, because it's one of those special things that we come to deal with in our lives. And so my theme tonight, it's time to pull together. And I need to say that we've never been in a better position than now to take hold of where we're going. Never been in a better position than we are right now, because God's timing is always perfect. And sometimes we don't see that until we've been down the road a little way. And I also need to say that it's a time now for us to be earnestly praying and earnestly pulling together to catch the vision that God is holding out to us, and He is. And I'll share something of that on Sunday, because for sure that's what God is doing in my mind. The first letter to the Corinthians that Paul writes is a huge chapter, and we all know that it's the chapter on love. But if you read that chapter carefully, you'll find that Paul sketches a picture of love in the context of being something that is perfect. He holds love up in the best sense of the word. And And it's a love that always trusts and always perseveres and always protects and always hopes. If you know the passage, around about verse 4 up to about verse 7, he speaks about this. Love is always trusts, always perseveres, always protects, always hopes. And I think that what Paul is trying to say there is, let us believe in the best. Let us believe in the best, because second best is not good enough for God. And we've had that saying around here for a while. Second best is not good enough for God. Only the best is good enough for God. Our best, whatever that is what's good enough for Him. And I think if we hope for the best and pray for the best, then somehow God releases that into our community, and something special begins to happen. So let's be praying that God will lead us all to be the best that we can be, to live the best that we can live, and to set the best example that we can set. Because whether we like it or not, the town's looking at us. Can't tell you how many people have been saying to me in the last week, that half-page ad we put in the advertiser last week, I've just had people talking to me over and over and over again. The whole week, I did a big funeral here on Tuesday, and I bumped into a whole lot of old Boxburg people that I haven't seen for a long time, and they say, hey, we saw your ad, going to be there on Sunday. And it's 20 years, and they're sort of talking about this. And so whether we like it or not, the town's watching us. The town is watching us. And if ever God needed you to be in His kingdom, it's now. And I hope you consider that you are. If ever God needed you to serve Him in His kingdom, it's now. Because He's not finished with us. If ever God needed you and me to step forward and grow His kingdom in this town, it's now. And we need so much down here. We need leaders, we need teachers, we need caring people, we need praying people, we need support people, we need IT people, we need people everywhere. We need money, we need resources, we need everything. And I've been praying all through this week that somehow this week will be a rallying call for the congregation here, that we'll begin to see a new vision that God has for us. And the words in my heart are, it's time to pull together. It's time to pull together. Our world is a broken, heartless, uncaring, driven place. And all of us are victims of the world we live in, aren't we? We're all victims of the way life is. And I think that this week is a rallying call to the coalface. It's a call to the coalface. We're not going to just stumble over this next phase of this church's life. We're not going to do that. And we're not going to get comfortable and think that we've arrived. Sure, let's celebrate, but please don't get comfortable. Come to think of it, it's impossible to get comfortable in the chairs you're sitting in. And if you're praying for anything, pray for comfortable seats. Because I tell you what, I'm so glad I stand up here every Sunday and I don't have to sit in those seats. If I sit in there for 20 minutes, my back's broken. So I don't know how you put up with me. So bless you. We're not going to let someone else do it. Let's do it, folks. Let's just see what God's calling us to do. Let's do it together. Let's pull together. And when you think about it, we need to understand the enormous needs of our community. And also to understand the huge potential. I want to speak some more about that later in the weekend. But as I've reflected for today, I began to ask myself, what is God saying to us, all of us here at Trinity? What is He saying in this week? What is God's word for us in the midst of our celebrations, or perhaps at the beginning of our celebrations? What is God wanting to say to us? Are there things that we need to hear from Him tonight? And I think so. And this is what I know that God is saying to us tonight. I want to share them with you. Firstly, and this might come somewhat as a surprise, but firstly I want to say to you, you are a treasured child of the Most High God. Please, you've got to understand your identity, my friends. You've got to understand that you are a treasured child of the Most High God. Can you hold that thought, please? Hold this thought in your heart. God celebrates you every day, every single day, God celebrates that you are one of his treasured children. There's no one here tonight that isn't in that place. Yes, there's much to be done in this place, but remember, please, always, you are a treasured child of God. You're a treasured child of the Most High God. You, Derek, you, Yvonne, and John and Mary and George and Sheila and Bill and Elizabeth, you're not an orphan. You're not a stepchild. You're not a failure. You're a treasured child of God. Please, can we hold our identity? Can we hold our identity of who we are in God's sight? Because if we consider ourselves to be failures, we will be. If we see ourselves as no hopers, we will be. But if we see ourselves as treasured children, if we see ourselves as people who God celebrates every day of his life, then we will be. And I want to say to you, please remember who you are. Let us remember who we are as we come into this place and as we try and begin to build it. For me, these words, you're a treasured child of the Most High God, infuse for me a sort of an energy and a strength and a power and an optimism that sort of tingles within me. Because, hear the words again, you are a treasured child of the Most High God. How do you feel about that? How do you feel? What is it? What goes on in your spirit when someone says to you, you're a treasured child of God? You and I are children of God. He died for us. We're not alone. God and I, God and you, and us together can do it together. Remember who you are. Please remember who you are. Always, not just for tonight. Please remember who you are in God's sight. All of us here tonight and beyond are treasured, blessed and favored and loved by the Most High God. That's an awesome thought, folks. I don't know if you've ever stopped to actually think that one through. That we are treasured in God's heart. We are treasured, held close to his heart, embraced. This is mine. You have a picture of God wrapping his arms around you and saying, you are mine. That's identity. That's real identity. And I just pray that the Spirit of God will write these words in your hearts tonight. I really do. Secondly, I believe that God is saying, you're all on a mission. All of you. You're listening. You're all on a mission. A mission that the combined forces of evil can never defeat. Tony said it earlier. The devil tried everything that he could to prevent us establishing what we've done here. In a combined mission like this, our combined forces will always defeat Satan. Always. And so he can forsake. Jesus said, I will build my church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. I will build my church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. We need to be reminded about this tonight, because we tend to forget that the promises that the scriptures bring us and the promises that Jesus brings us is that the church ultimately wins the battle against the forces of darkness in this broken world of ours. Always. The church always wins that battle. The forces of evil cannot extinguish the light of Christ in his world. And so the final score is on the scoreboard. And it simply says the church wins. It simply says the church wins, not 49-0. Okay? Some of you know what that means, and it hurt. The church wins. We'll beat the Wallabies this weekend. But it's not just the church that wins. You win, and I win. And we win together. The victory of the church is secured. And it's God that secures this victory in you and me and with us. And you know, when I'm reminded that the church has already won, and that my personal victory has already been secured for me by Christ, it's like somebody takes a sack of potatoes off my back and sets me free. I'm a treasured child of the Most High God, and my victory and the church's victory and your victory has already been secured. And it makes us see God differently. It makes us serve Him differently. It makes you sleep differently. It gives you a better perspective on the world, doesn't it? Doesn't it? And we just need to hang on and let God work in us. That's all I think we need to do. We just need to hang on and let Him work in us. What a God we have. What a God we have. What an immense work He's done in this place over 20 years. What a great and awesome God we have. Let's keep on winning. Let's keep on winning. And finally, God just wrote these words in my heart. You're not alone. You're not alone. And I guess that's probably the best news that I can give you. God reminded me, and I think He's reminding you, that we are not alone in this great endeavor that we call the church. Firstly, we can never do it by ourselves because it's a community effort, it's a collective effort. We're not alone in this great endeavor. God is with us. And when I thought of this, Derek, you're not alone, I suddenly reminded myself that I am surrounded, Yvonne and I are surrounded by the most remarkable people ever gathered in a local church. The most remarkable Christ followers, the most remarkable great people that are around us every step of this journey. This hasn't been our solitary journey, this has been our collective journey. Yvonne and I are surrounded by the great people of God, the Christ followers, all pulling together. There are so many people in this world, but here we are in this little part of the vineyard, gathered together, concerned about the poor, concerned about the people far from God, concerned about the lonely, concerned about the frightened and the confused. And then I thought of where we've come from these past 20 years. And my heart just sings. My heart just sings, and it really does. I'm not making this up. Because I'm not alone in these challenges. We're doing all this together. I'm part of a world-class team called Trinity Community Church. I'm just one little person in that great endeavor that we call Trinity. And we're led by the greatest leader of all time, Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. And so I think it's time for us to pull together. I think it's time for us to just understand this great endeavor that God has placed in our hands. And I think that God is saying to us, well done, good and faithful servants. But I'm not finished with you yet. So party like mad this week, because we're going to put our shoulders to the wheel next week, and we're going to keep going with this thing, and we're going to do something else with it. And so wherever you are in your life right now, know that you're surrounded by a remarkable congregation, by a remarkable family of brothers and sisters who really care about you. This church is going to be okay. And we're going to make God smile. He's already smiling, but we're going to make Him smile some more. It's pulled together time, folks. It's pulled together time. You are the treasured children of the Most High God. We are on a mission that cannot fail because God is with us. And we are not alone. We're not alone. Victory is ours. You can count on it. You can count on it. We are not alone. And we never will be. Thanks be to God for His word to us.